story is developing as well. India is calling for international help as the country battles a devastating COVID-19 surge.
Yeah, it has just been awful there. On Sunday, India's daily deaths set a new record at about 3,600. Now, for comparison, the highest one-day total here in the U.S. Was just a little over 300,000. The COVID crisis in India is putting pressure on the U.S. and another Western government to waive patents on COVID-19 vaccines. Supporters say easing intellectual property protections could allow low-income countries to produce their own vaccines. The White House says that it should have a way forward in the coming days.
The CDC recently updated its guidelines on safe behaviors for those who are now vaccinated, especially when it comes to mask wearing. But many are asking, do these new recommendations go far enough? And so we do want to bring in Dr. Oz, who's joining us now live with his common sense guide to life after the vaccine. Dr. Oz, good morning to you.
Good morning. Common sense is not so common, as you know, so let's go through what was done. The CDC acknowledged, and I think this is a long time coming, that we should be allowed to walk outside without a mask on if we've been vaccinated. There's two reasons for this. First off, the vaccine reduces the chance of serious illness dramatically to under 1%. There was no one who died in the clinical trials who'd been vaccinated. And secondly, we know outdoor spread of this virus is extraordinarily uncommon. In a Chinese study, out of 1,000 COVID cases, one of those cases was from an outdoor event. And we know from other experiences that the way this virus works is sort of like the way a cigarette smoker's exhaled smoke might work. It sort of dissipates in the air if you're outdoors. So you should be able to go outdoors and not have to put a mask on if you're going by somebody else. It's different if you're in a crowded environment, especially if you're indoors, because that smoke doesn't get dissipated.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. If you're inside, then the recommendation is that you should still wear a mask if you're at a crowded event indoors where you cannot properly social distance. But what about if you're, like, let's say at a baseball game or if you're at a concert? Because we've seen concerts, especially here in Florida, where people are very close together still. Dr. Oz, does that seem to make any common sense to you in terms of still wearing a mask when you're in close quarters?
Well, if you've been vaccinated, in theory, then you shouldn't have to wear a mask even if you're in close quarters.
Okay.
But we don't know if everyone's gotten fully vaccinated yet. And I think part of the reason the CDC is slow rolling this is they don't want people who've been vaccinated to be able to say to people who have not been vaccinated, nah, you know, I'm already okay, I'm going to live my life, and you do your best. So I think part of it's just to be fair to everybody. But yes, once we're vaccinated, especially if we're outdoors, even if it's a crowded environment, you shouldn't have to worry about it. And it's interesting, if you look at the CEO of the National Association of Theater Owners said even for indoor experiences, there has not been a single COVID case linked to movie theaters. And that's because they have high ceilings.
Yeah.
They've got good ventilation, and you're not looking at each other, right? People are watching this, they're spectating. They're not talking to each other and spitting in each other's face.
So let's talk about movie theaters, also working out in gyms, right? In terms of here in the state of Florida, you still need to wear a mask if you're going to be inside working out in a gym. Talk to me about the common sense of this. I know when I go into the gym, I've only been a couple of times since I've been fully vaccinated, but I do still wear my mask. Not everybody does, however.
I think you ought to wear a mask if you're indoors in a gym, but ideally the gym would do something like open the windows or put some of the equipment outside if possible. That way you're out, and once you're outdoors, you don't have to wear a mask at all. So if you're biking, for example, running outdoors, putting a mask in doesn't make medical sense if you've been vaccinated.
Dr. Oz, always appreciate your advice. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Take care. You
take care as well. And we do want to let you know that you can watch the Dr. Oz show. It is weekdays at 2 p.m. right here on Fox 35. It is 9:09. Coming up next right here on Good